Hi everyone, this is Mr. Fokowski. Today we're going to be looking at interest groups and the role that they play in the policy making system. And you'll notice here that they are a linkage institution, just like political parties, just like elections and the media, as they help to convey specific interests, problems, and concerns from the people into the policy making institutions, which, depending on your interest group, you would hope that your policy would get implemented and then again impacting the people through their policies. Here are some well-known interest groups that have been very much in the news today, everything from the American Civil Liberties Union to the National Rifle Association, a very famous one, and one that's very relevant today if you're keeping up with the Second Amendment and gun rights. The National Education Association, GOPAC, you have the AMA, the American Medical Association, and then you have the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. Again, many interest groups exist today. So by definition, an interest group is an organization that seeks to influence public policy, and they pursue their goals in many arenas. It's very important that you understand that interest groups are very important in that they specialize in one specific area. They are policy specialists, whereas political parties are policy generalists, right? Political parties, they have their own viewpoints on a wide range of issues, from the economy to the military to social issues, whereas interest groups pick one specific area, and that is the name of the game. So for example, the National Education Association only deals with educational issues. They're not looking to get involved with things such as, gay rights, because again, that doesn't really pertain to the National Education Association's mission. In addition, political parties will fight election battles, but the big difference, again, aside from being a specialist, is that they are not fielding candidates for office. They typically will just choose sides and they will endorse a specific candidate. Now, a brief history, interest groups can be traced back during the time of the ratification of the U.S. Constitution with the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists. They were interest groups, right? You had the Federalists advocating for ratification, whereas the Anti-Federalists were doing the quite opposite. And then by the 1830s, 1840s, you have a number of anti-slavery movements. Again, their main issue is abolishing slavery, nothing else. And then early 19th century, you have trade unions. They are interest groups. They're advocating for their trade. You have charity organizations. And then by the 1960s, we begin to see things specifically with the environment, consumer protection, political reform organizations. The National Organization for Women is a very famous one as well. So interest groups have always been a part of the policy-making system. It's just that we've seen the number of them grow, especially within the past 40 or 50 years. So there are various types of interest groups ranging from economic interests, so you have labor. So one of the big things is, union shop, that if you are part of a union in the state of New Jersey, you have to join the union. Whereas you have other states, especially in the South and conservative states, where they have right to work laws, which ban union membership as a condition of the employment. So you have the option to join it or not join it. And that's a whole nother issue. But economic interest, definitely. You see this especially with agriculture, with farmers. You see this with businesses, especially small businesses. You also have environmental interests. The Sierra Club always is advocating to protect the environment. You also have equality and social interests. So now, the National Organization of Women, very big one there. Then you also have things like the consumer and public interest lobbies that advocate, for example, the Children's Defense Fund for, helping impoverished students, or just impoverished children, that is. In terms of the right to work states, I just included this as to show you where you have union shops, where you have to join the union as a condition of your employment. You see that being very much in the Northeast as well as the West Coast, but a lot of states now have what are called right to work laws. It's sort of a misnomer. It just means that you don't have to join a union, but that has been weakening unions, because if you're not part of a union, you don't have to join it. You're going to say, well, the union's going to advocate for my position anyways, why should I pay dues? And as a result, it's going to impact it in terms of lower wages and fewer rights for the union members. But keep in mind that interest groups are essentially factions, right? And James Madison, Federalist paper number 10, he said the only solution to the problems posed by interest groups was to create many of them. So that would be more of a pluralistic idea, that you have many interest groups competing And this is good, right? The important ones would prevail because of the public interest. But then again, you have the elite theorists who say, well, this is going to lead to, corruption. This is going to favor big business, and there's only going to be a few interest groups that are really going to dominate, as opposed to the pluralists who think it's equal competition. And then you have the hyper pluralists saying that, well, you have so many groups and they're having such a big influence that this is going to lead to policy gridlock. You're going to have conflicting policies, and this is going to be problematic across the board. So you have three theories right here about interest groups, ranging from very good and to those not so good. Interest groups, of course, seek to maintain policies and programs that benefit them, right? They're going to want to sustain programs, government programs that help or favor them. For example, if you are AARP, which represents older people, retired people, you're going to want to, of course, maintain Social Security because that benefits the people in your interest group. Other times, you may want to pressure the government to do more, increase the amount, increase the cost of living for people who are retired because they might be on a fixed income. So again, interest groups, depending on what your interest is, tend to want to maintain policies, or sometimes they want to get rid of them, or sometimes they want to increase them, or have the government do more things. So it really depends on where you fall in terms of your interest group. But interest groups, again, are a linkage institution because they supply critical information, right? They supply ample amounts of literature. They bring it to their constituents when, hey, there's a proposed bill that would cut Social Security for AARP. We should contact our politicians and tell them, don't touch my Social Security, right? They also raise public support. They will raise awareness about bills, legislation, all that good stuff. They also do create PACs, right? And campaign contributions. Interest groups donate thousands and millions of dollars every election to candidates. They sometimes employ former government officials. They have contacts back in the government. They know how the government works, right? So that's very much important. And then sometimes they will seize opportunities to protest or disrupt, especially when new legislation is coming about, whether or not it might impact it negatively. And then sometimes they will file lawsuits, litigation, depending, again, with what constituents they represent. So that's part one of interest groups. All right, thank you.